The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.
This is Orioles preview. Orioles and the Nats playing Game 2 of their series in Baltimore tonight. We'll have coverage here at 6 o'clock. Last night, a 9-3 win for the Nats. The Orioles, who have 70 wins, they are among the best teams in baseball, but expectations were so high this year that when they go through a tough stretch like they're going through right now, people begin to panic. They're still 20 games over 500. They're going to be a playoff team. These days, I don't think it matters as much that you win the division. And in some ways, maybe last year was part of the problem, and they won division and had to sit for a week and got a little bit stale and played a Texas team that swept them. They hadn't been swept in a series all year long. So I don't think it makes a lot of difference whether they're going to be a wild card team or a division winner this year. We saw the Nationals win the World Series as a wild card team in 2019 when it was only a one-game wild card series. But they would like to pick up their play a little bit and certainly pick up what has been a tough stretch for the pitching staff with injuries and so forth and so on. So, again, they continue the series tonight, and fortunate to be joined by James McCann, catcher. He's been with us before. Just talking about, the perspective that you would have playing for a variety of teams that you're probably hearing this from Oriole fans. Team is still 20 games over 500, very much in contention to win the division. But are you sensing, as I am, some panic from the fan base about what's been a tough couple of weeks for you guys?
Yeah, it has been a tough couple of weeks. But something that we know as players, and sometimes I think fans lose, or I should say lose, but forget, is 162 games is a long season, and it is hard to play your best baseball for 162 straight games. You're going to go through ups, you're going to go through downs. The job that we have as players is to limit those downs, and to remember that we want to peak going into September and October, not in July and August. Yeah,
the phrase "the dog days of August," that's real, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's a thing. We do things as players to try and get through the tough times. Whether that's a day of doing something that's completely different than what you normally do. Maybe you show up to the field later and you don't take batting practice on the field. You only hit in the cage, and you roll out to the game just to try and switch up the tediousness and the monotony of the same thing every day, and then try and give yourself a fresh perspective.
Talking to James McCann, Orioles catcher. I want to get back to the performance of the team in just a minute, but we just concluded the Olympics, and you played on the U.S. national team in 2019. Olympics have been dropped. They've dropped baseball as a sport. It may come back. But what was your experience like playing for the national team and your thoughts on maybe bringing back baseball into the Olympics?
Yeah, so I played in 2011 at the Pan American Games, and it was an unbelievable experience. Playing for your country, playing against other countries, the fans. The stadiums. The games were in Mexico, and the stadiums were packed. The fans were amazing. I would love to see baseball back in the Olympics, and I'd love to see Major League players get an opportunity to play in those games. I think that we do the World Baseball Classic. I think. I definitely think it's something to talk about to maybe extend All-Star break once every 4 years and allow Major League Baseball players to go represent their countries in the Olympics.
And I know you've played for several teams, and you probably have teammates that you will have lifetime relationships with, but what's it like to win for your country? I mean, it's one thing to compete for a pennant or a World Series, but when you're representing the nation, what are the bonds like with the guys you played with to accomplish that?
It's special. It's definitely special. You have core memories from your career, and there's nothing quite like putting on that uniform that says USA across it and knowing what you represent, and that bond, like you said, that you create with those teammates, knowing that you represent something that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking to James McCann, catcher for the Orioles. This is a question that a lot of people are having in baseball, and the Orioles have been hit as hard as any team, starting pitching injuries. You have caught for a variety of pitchers over the years. The game has changed in a large degree since you came in. I mean, it was only 4 years ago that you caught a complete game no-hitter from Lucas Giolito. They're becoming more and more rare, and we're still having these injuries. Do you have any theories as to why this has been ramped up so much with all the care they take with pitchers and pitch counts and things like that?
Yeah, I think that there's several factors that go into it. I don't think there's ever one thing that you can point to. I think that first and foremost, the game has changed. When I first came up to the big leagues, the average fastball was nowhere near what it is right now as far as velocity goes. And I think one of the things that's changed is when I was drafted and I was coming up, there was a big focus on command and commanding the ball down in the zone and down away from hitters. And, you didn't see a ton of guys throwing max effort every single time they threw the ball. Now the philosophy is throw the ball through the strike zone as hard as you can and let your pitches eat. And I think that's one of the things is you're getting a ton of guys going max effort 100% of the time. I think that you can point a little bit to the balls, and they're a little bit slicker at times, and guys are gripping them harder. And when you're throwing something as hard as you can and you're gripping tight, that's the form doing a lot of work. I think that at the end of the day, I think that our arms were kind of reaching that physical limit of what the human body can do as far as what you're seeing velocity. And when you're pushing the human body to those limits, there at some point something's going to go, and I think that's what we're seeing.
We're also hearing the term spin rate, something I was not familiar with years ago. Maybe they used it. Is that also putting more pressure on the arm, the torque that it takes to do that?
Yeah, I know. Spin rate is just is something that occurs based on how you're spinning the ball, and I think that's from the max effort of trying to really get after it. And I do think there's technology now that with the slow motion cameras and everything else that we have that allow pitchers to understand exactly how to do it. And so I think you're seeing more and more guys really pushing their bodies to those physical limits that what the human body can actually endure.
Have you ever had a conversation with a young pitcher like, dude, you're going to blow your arm out. You got a better perspective than anybody behind the plate. I mean, have you ever had those type of conversations with anybody?
No, not necessarily. Something that I'm a big believer in is you only have so many bullets in your arm. I think everyone is a ticking time bomb, if that phrase makes sense. Just because our bodies are not made to have our arms move, overhand the way that they do. You look at a softball pitcher and they can throw multiple games in one day. They can throw back-to-back games, and that's because your arm is meant to go underneath the way that they throw. Yep. So the comment that I'll have for younger guys is, hey, you only have so many bullets in there. Take care of your arm.
Yep.
Not necessarily to not do what you're doing. It's more do everything you can to preventative work, whether that's your arm care routine or not throwing on days that you're not pitching as much. Just kind of taking care of that thing because it's quote unquote your moneymaker.
52 games left in the regular season. We talked about the dog days that we're in now. You appeared in 69 games last year. You've been in 48 so far this year. Do you expect a more rest for Adley Rutschman down the stretch as they get him ready for the postseason? Or given that you're in such a tight pennant race with the Yankees, that he will have many more appearances behind the plate? How do you think that's going to play out?
I don't know. I have not discussed that with Hyde. That's something I do is I show up to the ballpark every day, go through the same routine and make sure that I'm I'm ready to go whether my name is penciled in there or not. And if it's not, then be ready to go if there's an opportunity to come in later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's and you probably knew that was your role coming in. Things, I guess, have unfolded pretty much the way you expected them to when you came to the Orioles.
Yeah, no, their communication has been great, and that's I've the group of individuals in that clubhouse is a great group, and it makes it a lot of fun to show up at the ballpark every day.
Last thing, it's a lot different now in baseball, even since you came into the majors. Many more playoff teams, excuse me, and you are in a race with the Yankees, which is important, I'm sure, to win the division. But given that you want to go further this year than last year in the postseason, do you do scoreboard watching, or do you just concentrate on what your team is doing night to night?
Yes and no. It's as a human, it's very hard not to scoreboard watch. You want to see what's going on across the league, but at the same time, the most important thing is our team, and if we take care of our business, we're going to be exactly where we want to be. So you don't want to focus too much on what other teams are doing. You want to take care of your business, and if you take care of your business, then you're going to be where you want to be come October.
Absolutely. Good to talk to you as always. Continued success, and let's go O's.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. That's James McCann, who is the backup catcher for the Orioles, but has that veteran perspective, and that's what you want. You want a guy who's going to be a professional, ready to play every day. He understands that Adley Rutschman is one of the big stars of this team. He's the future of the organization, along with a couple of others like Gunnar Henderson and Anthony Santander. But he's ready to go. And I'd be curious to see what they do with him down the stretch. As I say, still 52 games to go. He's played in 48, played in 69 last year. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play in several more games this year than he did last year. Coming up, Brandon Hyde on last night's loss to the Nats, and David Rubenstein, who is the owner of the team, talking about the pennant race with the Yankees, or division race, as they say. Stay with us. It's the Orioles preview on the Andy Pollin Show, ESPN 630.
The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
Bram Weinstein now at 11 o'clock. Tony Kornheiser, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is Orioles preview. Orioles wrap up the two-game series with the Nats tonight. Coverage here at 6 o'clock. Last night, a 9-3 Nats win, and a rough night for the starting pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, who they got at the trade deadline. Trevor Rogers was rocked again last night. He gave up 5 runs in 5 innings, the 7 hits. He struck out only 2. His ERA up to 7.53 with the O's. So that has been an issue for a pitching staff which has been decimated by injuries. And although the team is 5-5, only a half game out of first place, Brandon Hyde admits that things are not going well right now.
Yeah, we're really inconsistent. We're giving up way too many runs. Tonight, I didn't think our bats were real good. I thought we were, give credit to their starter, but we're just really, out in front of off-speed pitches a lot. Besides the 3-0 homer by Santander, we had another opportunity, second, third, one out, didn't score. We're not moving the line offensively enough. Overswinging at times, kind of trying to just do our swings just can get really big at times, and we need to improve on that.
Jake Irvin, who had been struggling for the Nats, very good last night, went 6 innings, did give up 7 hits, but only 2 earned runs. And the Nationals had needed that. Not that they're going to be a team that's going to contend this year, but the Orioles need to make hay here, because here's the schedule coming up after tonight. They got 4 games against Boston. Red Sox are only a game out of the wild card. Then they got 3 in New York against the Mets from the 19th to the 21st. The Mets just 2 out of a wild card in the National League. Then you got 4 games against Houston, 22nd to the 25th. Houston, of course, leading the AL West. And then the Dodgers, best team in baseball, they have 3 against them, the 27th through the 29th. So it is going to be a rough stretch for them, and they've got to get better performances out of their starting pitching, including Trevor Rogers, roughed up last night and talked about it with reporters.
I thought my stuff was about average tonight. I think I did a decent job getting to 2 strikes, but I just couldn't put guys away today. I've faced these guys a lot in the past, and it seems like they've always had a good approach. And I was just trying to mix all day, and got a couple soft contacts early, just didn't go my way. So just got to keep improving and give my team a chance.
What was it like pitching here for the first time?
Great atmosphere. Fan base was there. It was great. Obviously want better results, but yeah, it was really fun.
What do you feel like you need to do to kind of get back to having the results you were having earlier this year?
I think just keeping it simple. It's all about execution, being unpredictable. I had a good stretch there for a while, and it's baseball. I'm going to have a couple rough spots here and there. I just got to keep doing my thing, keep working, and I'll get back to it.
Mixed in a lot of curveballs there. Was it a concerted effort there tonight with the opponent, or just how you're throwing, just to get that throwing it more?
Definitely the opponent. I think just the amount of times I've faced them in the past, they were really looking for that changeup late. So I was just trying to land a few more sliders just to get them off the changeup a little bit.
I know this new pitching staff has been working with you on a couple adjustments. Is it challenging to make that while also maintaining, your normal pitching schedule?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely some challenges. You want to work on stuff but not overwork and then get away from stuff that's helped myself succeed this year. So, there's a fine balance with that, and I think they've been doing a great job with just the short time that I've been working with them. But, come in tomorrow and talk it over and continue to improve.
They're going to need him down the stretch. They are short on pitching. The one pitcher that they've been able to count on this year as a starter is Corbin Burns. That was a great pickup. But otherwise, injuries across the board. Albert Suarez, good as last time out, didn't get the win. Somewhat inconsistent, but has turned in a very solid year for them, 5-4 with a 3.39 ERA. A pitcher to watch tonight, and this is going to be big for the Orioles because he is struggling lately. Dean Kramer's lost his last 4 decisions, and he has made 16 starts for them. Those will be 17 tonight. They need a big performance out of him, and they need to be able to count on him as a starter. So how he does tonight is going to be very interesting to watch for the Orioles. As for the ownership, which I guess is something you can feel really good about after all the years of the Angelos ownership, David Rubenstein, who seems to be a hail fellow, well met. And I just want to play this. This was from a podcast that he did yesterday, a financial podcast. So these are money guys, and they're dressed in bow ties and things like that. So it's a group that doesn't usually sway over to sports, but that's exactly where it went when they were talking about billion-dollar deals yesterday.
What's the key distinction between the Rubenstein Orioles and the Yankees, the dreaded Yankees? What's the difference between Oriole ball at Camden Yards and what we see, this travesty in the Bronx?
Well, the Orioles and the Yankees have been jockeying for first place in the American League East for most of the season. They both have excellent teams. We'll just have to see who does well in September and the remainder of August. But I think both of those teams are likely to be in the playoffs, in my view. Yankees have some extraordinary players, and the Orioles have some extraordinary players.
Their ability to lose to the Chicago White Sox, I don't know if your team has briefed you, but the White Sox snuck by the Yankees last night. That would never happen to the Baltimore Orioles.
Well, we've lost some games that I didn't think we would lose, but on the whole, I would say the Orioles and the Yankees are really in good shape for the playoffs, and I don't know who's going to win, but I hope the Orioles do, of course.
Of course. That's the owner of the team. Grew up in Baltimore and got to fulfill a childhood dream of owning the Orioles. The question is, and that was kind of a joke there about that was the other night where the Yankees lost, I think it was 12-2 to the White Sox. They beat them last night with 3 homers from Juan Soto. But that has been a problem for the Orioles, losing to sub-500 teams, and now they're going to play good teams with Boston, the Mets, Houston, and the Dodgers to close out the month. So they're going to have to pick it up against good teams and stay in there. I don't think there's any chance that they're going to be overtaken by Boston, even though Boston is playing well now. They're 8 games over 500, but there is that possibility they could be taken over by them. But still, making the playoffs is the big thing, and then making sure that you're set up well. The one thing about the Orioles that will help them when they get to the playoffs is that you shorten the rotation. If you've got 3 good pitchers, was what we saw with the Nationals in 2019, that's going to set you up well for the playoffs. Now, who are the other 2 that are going to go along with Corbin Burnes? We're going to find out. Is Suarez good enough to do that? Are you going to get better performances here from Dean Kramer? Can Cole Irvin step up? Those are things that they have to answer. But tough stretch coming up. The big thing is the young guys are producing. Another great year for Gunnar Henderson, who knock wood has stayed healthy. Same with Adley Rutschman. You got home runs from Henderson is 29, and you got 36 from Anthony Santander. Rutschman giving you a very solid year this year, hitting 269. He's got 17 homers, 68 runs batted in. And if he's not in the lineup as a catcher, he's the DH. Ryan O'Hearn has performed very well for them this year, hitting 272, and he has got 12 home runs, 48 runs batted in. So a lot of good play. And then, the big thing is at second base, is Jackson Holliday here for good? His first go-round didn't go well. He's played much better now, but because things went so poorly at the beginning, 21 games played, he's hitting only 162. His Major League debut home run was a grand slam, so you can feel pretty good about that. He's got 5 home runs on the year and 13 runs batted in. So Orioles and the Nationals again, Game 2 tonight here on ESPN 630. Things get underway at 6 o'clock. I want to thank Isaac Kuhn for coming in today and running the show. Thanks very much to Kim Stone, who's the CEO of the Washington Spirit, and thanks to James McCann of the Orioles for coming on Orioles Preview. Bram Weinstein is up next. I'm taking a little vacation again, so I'll see you back here Tuesday morning at 9 a.m.